Have you ever watched the person you love become a stranger right in front of your eyes? For me, it wasn't a sudden change, but a slow, creeping frost. It started the night I found her phone, glowing softly on the kitchen counter at 2 a.m., an Uber receipt. The drop-off was a residential address in Lincoln Park, a place I'd never heard of. The pickup time was 1:45 a.m., but she was supposed to be asleep upstairs. I'd kissed her goodnight hours ago. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the silent house. She'd told me she was exhausted from her new volunteer gig at a downtown art gallery. A second job she'd taken on for personal fulfillment, she'd said. It paid nothing, but she worked it every single weekend. A cold dread, slick and oily, washed over me. This wasn't about art. This was about a lie, and I was standing at the very edge of its discovery. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from, what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. Our life, or the life I thought we had, was built on a foundation of comfortable truths. We had a brownstone in Old Town, a shared love for rainy Sundays, and 15 years of memories. I was a partner at an accounting firm. I provided, I was loyal, I was content. Sarah had always been the more ambitious one, the one with the restless energy. When she announced she was taking the weekend volunteer position at a contemporary art gallery on Michigan Avenue, I was proud. "It's for me, you know," she'd said, her eyes shining, "to feel connected to something beautiful." I'd smiled, blind and stupidly supportive. The strange behavior began subtly. She started guarding her phone like it was a state secret. Her laughter became a little too loud, a little too brittle. She'd come home from the gallery smelling of a perfume that was on hers and a faint, almost imperceptible trace of men's cologne. The discovery was a death by 1,000 cuts. A credit card statement I opened by mistake revealed dinners for two at Gibson, bar and steakhouse on dates she was supposedly cataloging paintings. Then there were the clothes, new lingerie, silk and lace, hidden at the back of her drawer, things she never wore for me. The coldness was the worst part. She'd look at me, her husband, with a flat, dismissive expression, as if I were a piece of furniture she'd grown tired of. "You're being so needy, David." She'd snap if I tried to hold her. "Can't you see I'm exhausted? This gallery work takes a lot out of me." She was manipulative, twisting my concern into a flaw. Her and her lover, whoever he was, felt untouchable. They were living a secret, thrilling life, and I was just the boring, stable fool paying the bills for it. The breaking point came on our anniversary. I'd booked a table at our favorite restaurant, the one where I'd proposed. She canceled an hour before via text. "So sorry, something came up at the gallery. A private viewing. Have to be there, rain check." I sat in our living room, the silence screaming at me. I pictured her across town, laughing with him, her hand on his arm. The humiliation was a physical weight, crushing the air from my lungs. That was the night the loyal, loving husband died. I didn't cry. I just sat there as something inside me turned to ice. A new man was born in that silence. Cold, strategic, and ruthless. My revenge began not with a bang, but with a quiet phone call to the best divorce attorney in Chicago. I didn't want to fight. I wanted a demolition. For the next 3 months, I became a ghost in my own home. I gathered proof with a chilling sense of purpose. I put a GPS tracker on her car. The art gallery was, in fact, a luxury high-rise on North Clark Street. The apartment belonged to a Mark Thorne, a smarmy real estate developer I'd met once at a fundraiser. He was all teeth and cheap charm. I hired a private investigator who returned with a portfolio of photographs that made my stomach churn, images of Sarah and Mark kissing in a hotel parking lot, holding hands walking into a dimly lit bar. I documented every lie, every credit card charge, every text message. I was building a case, a fortress of facts from which there would be no escape. The final trap was set for Sarah's birthday. I told her I was throwing a surprise party for her, a huge catered affair at our home with all our friends and family. For the first time in months, she looked genuinely happy. "Oh, David, you shouldn't have," she'd gushed, kissing my cheek. The betrayal in that simple touch was staggering. The night of the party, our home was filled with laughter and music. Sarah was radiant, the center of attention. Her parents were there, my parents, her colleagues, our closest friends. At 9 p.m., I dimmed the lights for a special birthday presentation. A large screen I'd rented flickered to life. Sarah beamed, expecting a montage of our happy memories. The first image was the Uber receipt, and a photo of her and Mark, his arm around her outside the steakhouse. The room fell silent. A picture of them kissing in the parking garage of the Drake Hotel. A close-up of her car parked overnight outside his Lincoln Park apartment building. I narrated the slideshow in a calm, steady voice, detailing the dates, the times, the lies. With each click, another piece of her perfect life was stripped away. I saw her face, a mask of horror and disbelief. Her father stared at her, his expression broken. Her friends looked away, their faces a mixture of pity and disgust. The final slide was a text from her to Mark. "Don't worry about David. He'll never know. He's too boring to ever suspect a thing." The silence in the room was absolute, a crushing void. Then, a man walked through the door. A process server. He walked directly to Sarah and handed her a stack of papers. "You've been served," he said, his voice echoing in the dead air. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stood there, utterly, completely ruined. I left the next day. I never spoke to her again. The divorce was swift and brutal. The prenup held, but her reputation was annihilated. She lost her friends, her family's respect, everything. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that house, once filled with love, now just a monument to a lie. I won, but it feels like standing alone in the ashes of a burned-down city. My revenge wasn't a fire, it was ice, and it froze everything it touched. The end.